This video is going to be a bit longer than the normal ones I make. In this video, I'm going to accomplish 4 tasks which will make metal casting and forging projects I do doable. These are the 4 things I'm about to do in this video: making a speed controller for the air blower, make some tongs, make green sand and cast aluminium. I'm not going to rush through the video like I usually do, but instead I'm going to emphasize on some of the mistakes and hurdles one can face while casting molten metal or try metal forging. Let's get started. I'd been trying to make a forge for quite some time, and after several failed attempts I finally made one that is robust and solid. Most of the videos on DIY forge making show hairdryer being used to pump air into the forge. I went overboard and I used a vacuum cleaner. Even on a lower setting, the blower of the vacuum cleaner was way too powerful for the backyard forge I had built, and it was spewing out amber like an angry volcano. Then I used an air blower, and this air blower does not have a trigger based speed control, which means the trigger switch here is only an on-off press switch. It does not control the speed of this blower, and this blower again is very powerful for the backyard forge I had made. So is there a way to control the speed of this blower? Yes, there is, and it can be done by an additional external circuit. So that is what we are going to do now. That's our first task in this video. Let's head over to the workbench. We need a speed control circuit, plus a power socket, a switch, and a plastic enclosure to put all of them together, and electric wire of desired length, of course. The connections in the circuit are straightforward. 2 wires run to the mains, 2 wires go to the socket where our device, in this case the air blower, is to be plugged. Including a switch is optional. Advisable if the power outlet is far away and for some reason you need to cut the power off. Additional safety is always good. After connecting everything, I found that the blower was running at a very high speed. You can see a small screw here on the potentiometer. It has to be adjusted to get the slow speeds. It has to be done before covering up the box, and the wires are live. You have to be careful and avoid electric shock. All of the components have been assembled into this plastic box. It looks a lot neat here. I've made a hole for the AC wire to go in. I've also made a hole for the potentiometer knob to be set outside. I've made holes in the body, and that's because the circuit can get hot sometimes, so we need a little bit of ventilation. You see the motor is running, and now I can increase the speed of the motor. Low and high. I can switch it off in here, or I can switch it using the trigger. Now that our blower is ready, let's head over to the forge and do the next step of this project. I found a flat bar which I cut to 2 pieces of 2 feet in length. This is a set of clamps used to hold the PVC pipes on the walls. I could use them to make the claw of the tongs to hold it and lift the crucible. The forge is set up. There we have the air blower, and there we have the speed controller. The forge was fired up, and I began forging the rods. I worked on it even after the sunset, and I could not accomplish what I planned for. No, I was not wearing the hat when I was working. It is just there to cover my bald head. Now, beating the crap out of a red hot iron is one thing, and crafting it to a particular shape is an entirely different thing. I started off with 2 flat bars. I hammer the flat bar into a thin metal. I put it into the forge. When I take it outside, I see some of the metal is gone. It's melted away. Now, I must admit that I'm not a good craftsman, but then the forge I've made is meant to hold a crucible that can melt aluminum, and it is good enough only for small jobs. If you look at the structure of the forge, air enters into the forge from the bottom, and this part here is where the heat is concentrated. When we insert a rod like this from top, the rod starts hitting upwards, as in the bottom part is heated first and the heat gradually rises up to the top. By the time the top part is hot enough, the bottom part is so hot that it melts away. So what do? Make another forge? I have an idea. Let's see if that works. I tried laying the forge sideways, but it would not help heat a particular spot on the rod. I went back to making a forge out of brick, and this idea seems to work. I managed to salvage the first set of tongs and get it to shape, and I purchased extra flat bars to make another set of tongs. Shopping is not fun when shops are flooded with water. On the hindsight, climate change is a serious issue which is ignored. It was not meant to rain so heavily at this time of the year. Now getting back to work, these bars were heated, and using a bench vise and a pair of vise grips, I twisted the metal. You can see the shape here. The intersection of both of these bars were marked and a hole was drilled for the pin to go through. After drilling, I've put a bolt here and put these two pieces together. I don't have a pin, so I'm using a bolt. You can see that both the pieces are not matching in the center. We'll have to do a little bit of heating and then bend it into the required shape. Again, for the second tong, I'm going to weld these two hose clamps and make it into a claw. These two pieces are not meeting either, but we'll have to heat it and bend it into the desired shape. But let me first do the welding. Where did the piece go? After welding, the tip of the tongs were heated and set to meet in the center. Not the best tongs in the world, but this will be good enough for me to get started. Moving on to the next phase, what we have here is a little bit of a clay. This is shop bought one, but this is quite expensive. This small chunk costed me around 300 rupees. And this piece of clay is the leftover of the clay that me and my kids made. We've made an interesting video. You might want to click on the I button on the top and want to watch it. And this ugly bag here used to be a cute boxing bag which my son used when he was like what, 5 years old. And I assume that there is going to be a lot of sand in the base, which kind of adds weight and balance to this whole structure when it is filled with air. And this bowl here, it's not a bowl actually, it's the front door of a washing machine, salvaged recently, and you can also see that video. The link will be in the description, or you can check the I button on top. Let me just dissect it and see if there is actually river sand inside. And yes, we have sand. Who was I kidding? The sand in the punching bag is not a fine one, but the good thing is it is dry. Sand which I have in my yard is all wet because of the rain. Using a sieve, the fine sand was filtered out. The clay was bone dry and it had to be crushed back to a fine powder. I managed to make fine sand and fine clay powder, but totally forgot about the cutting mat. Now it needs a thorough wash. The proportion of mix I am going for is 1 part clay and 3 parts of sand. Feel free to experiment with the proportions here. A little water can be added and thoroughly mixed, making sure there are no lumps in the mix. The consistency should be like if you press it hard, it should be firm and you should be able to break it apart easily as well. Task 3 is complete, and let me now melt some aluminum and cast something. I found some of these Christmas ornaments. It's a styrofoam ball. It needs a wooden enclosure which can be made with scrap plywood. No big deal. This box was filled up with the green sand I had made, placed the styrofoam ball inside and filled it with more green sand. I am doing this for the first time. A few pencils were poked to make the vent holes. Spoiler alert, this was a dumb idea. The forge was fired up, and you can now see how useful the tongs are. Remember this aluminum container? I used it for making the tilted stove. During the end of the test, the bottom melted. It can now be reused in this project. It's a thin sheet metal and can be shredded using tin snips. This stainless steel vessel is going to be my crucible. When I poured the hot molten aluminium, it was just another poor bad pour. Instead of a full sphere, I managed to make only half of it, a hemisphere. On the positive note, it's still a 50% success. But then, the thumbnail I was hoping for is not happening. Just to notch up the process a bit, I made a casting mold using plastic ball and used regular garden soil to fill it up. I managed to keep my hands steady while pouring the molten metal, but alas, the aluminium was not adequate. The result was still the same. Half sphere is what I got. What I did or made in this video is not the best things you've seen, but then I surely did try to point out some problems and I tried to overcome them in a step-by-step process. What I'm trying to say here is generic. Like if you want to acquire a new skill, you can watch as many videos you want. It will give you a lot of knowledge and a lot of information, but then experience is something that you will have to gain by yourself. I'm an old school guy and I believe in this old school saying, practice makes perfect, and I think I've got a long way to go. Let me know what you think of this video. Is it even worth to make videos on fails like this? Please do let me know in the comment section below. And guys, please don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching this video this far. And other than that, I'm Josh and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, bye-bye.